officers become complacent. They take it as a false sense of security because of this automation, and they become complacent. And this complacency sometimes leads to accidents happening. So BNWAS is basically an attempt to check that complacency and ensure that the watchkeeper is alert, effective, and he is doing a proper watchkeeping duty. Moving ahead now. Now moving further in the performance standards, we see that if we use a BNWAS, warnings will be given in case of incapacity of the watchkeeping officer. The incapacity could happen because of an accident or because of sickness, some health issue, or in the event of a security breach where the bridge is left unmanned, piracy and hijacking kind of scenario. So noting that the installation of such equipment is a relatively low cost and an effective means of avoiding operational navigational accidents. Now BNWAS is a very simple and a low cost, non-complicated kind of equipment. Again, recognizing the need to prepare appropriate performance standards, having considered the recommendation of Subcommittee on Safety of Navigation adopts the
Your
performance
voice is
standards.
completely broken down.
And important thing to note here is it gives us the deadline when this equipment should be complying with these standards, recommends the governments to ensure that BNWAS installed on or after 1st July 2003 should conform or agree with or comply with the performance standards not inferior to the one which are mentioned in this particular annex. So you see, for the initial part of the performance standard, they give us an introduction of the equipment, what was the need of bringing in these requirements, and why was it required. Any doubts up to here, beta?
No, sir.
Okay, all right. Moving ahead. We now move on to the main body of the performance standards. The first part of the standards gives us the scope of the equipment. What is the scope of the equipment? The purpose of a BNWAS is to monitor bridge activity, what all activity is happening in the bridge, and detect operator disability. If the OW gets disabled, not able to perform his duties, the BNWAS is supposed to alert us, and a disability which could lead to marine accidents. The system monitors the awareness of the OOW and automatically alerts the master or another qualified OOW or a backup officer if for any reason the OOW becomes incapable of performing his duties. Now, how does the equipment achieve that purpose? It is achieved by a series of indications and alarms. There are a series of indicators and alarms which are fitted, which alert first the OOW, which is there on the bridge. And if he does not respond, then it alerts the master or a backup officer, another qualified OOW. Additionally, the BNWAS may also provide the OOW with a means of calling for immediate assistance. That is basically the master call option or master call arrangement which we had. A BNWAS could incorporate a master call arrangement also. The BNWAS should be operational whenever the ship's heading or track control system is engaged, unless inhibited by the master. Moving ahead now, beta. We now move on to the operational requirements for BNWAS. This part talks about functionality of the system, and this tells us about the operational modes under which the system can operate. The BNWAS should incorporate the following operational mode. Three operational modes are mentioned in the standards. One is automatic, which means that the equipment is brought in operation whenever the ship's heading or track control system, which is basically the autopilot, is activated, and the system stops when the autopilot is off. The second operational mode is manual on. That means the equipment remains in operational continuously. And third is manual off. That is, the equipment is switched off and it does not operate. Now, out of these three modes, the automatic mode, IMO came up with a circular later on that the automatic mode of the BNWAS should not be used. Now, what is the reason behind that? The reason behind that is the SOLAS requirements regarding BNWAS say that BNWAS should be operational whenever the vessel is underway at sea. Now, it is possible that whenever the vessel is underway at sea, there may be situations and circumstances where the autopilot may not be on. To give you an example, if the helmsman is practicing hand steering, so at that time the autopilot will be off, and if you have selected the automatic mode of operation, the BNWAS Bridge Navigational Watch Alarm System will also get switched off. So this was in contradiction with the SOLAS requirement. So IMO has come up with a circular that the automatic operation mode on the BNWAS should not be used. It can be manually put on and it can be manually put off. There should be a protection arrangement on changeover of the mode, either a key protection or a password protection, and this key or password should remain with the master of the ship. So to change the mode, the master should be the person who should be deciding which mode is to be kept on.
Sir, how does it operate in automatic mode?
Beta, in automatic mode, whenever you switch on the autopilot, the BNWAS gets operational, and whenever you switch it off or put it on hand steering, the BNWAS gets off. That is how it works in the automatic mode.
Okay.
But as I told you that it is no more in use now, IMO has prohibited the use of BNWAS in automatic mode.
Okay.
Okay.
So this track control system is what?
Okay. Beta, there are two systems basically. One is the heading control system, other is the track control system. Heading control system only takes care of the heading changes. You input a heading, it will maintain that heading. The track control system is something which is taking feedback from the GPS. It not only keeps a track of the heading, but it also brings the vessel back if there is any cross track error. वो वापस उसको ट्रैक पे ले आएगा. कोई भी cross track error होगी, automatically it will give a set and bring it back. So that is a track control system. Now track control system is not mandatory on ships. So that's why we do not usually see the track control system. Heading control system is mandatory. Clear, beta?
Okay, sir.
Okay. Let us now go into the operational sequence of indications and alarms of the BNWAS. This is one of the most important performance standards for the BNWAS equipment, and it tells us about the sequence, how the indication and alarms will be given by this equipment. Now, once operational, the alarm system should remain dormant for a period between 3 minutes and 12 minutes. This dormant period can be adjusted to any duration between 3 minutes and 12 minutes, and the authority for setting up this dormant period remains with the master. So once it is switched on, the system is going to remain dormant. It will not give any indication or any alarm for this period. That is the dormant period. Now at the end of this dormant period, the alarm system should initiate a visual indication on the bridge. As soon as the dormant period completes, this visual indication will be activated on the bridge, and the duty officer is required to reset the visual indication. If this visual indication is not reset even after 15 seconds, the visual indication has remained on for 15 seconds and it has not been reset, the BNWAS now sounds a first stage audible alarm on the bridge. This first stage audible alarm also sounds for a duration of 15 seconds. If it is not reset in this duration of 15 seconds, now you can see that total 30 seconds have passed. For 15 seconds, the visual indication was running. For another 15 seconds, the first stage audible alarm on the bridge was running and it has not been reset. If not reset for the initial 30 seconds, the BNWAS should additionally sound a second stage remote audible alarm. Now, this second stage audible alarm is a remote alarm. That means it is not on the bridge. This remote alarm is present in the backup officer and or the master's location. It could be present in any one of these two locations, a backup officer cabin or master's cabin, or it could be present in both these locations. So for 30 seconds, we had the alarms ringing on the bridge. They were not reset. So BNWAS has now additionally sound a second stage remote audible alarm. The idea is that when the master or the backup officer listens to this remote audible alarm, he rushes to the bridge to see why the alarm has not been reset from the bridge, and he will come to know about the situation there. This second stage remote audible alarm will keep on ringing for 90 seconds. Basically, these 90 seconds are provided for the backup officer or the master to reach up to the bridge. They may be at a level of 1 or 2 decks down from the bridge. So a period of 90 seconds is provided for them to reach on the bridge. If not reset, the BNWAS should additionally sound a third stage remote audible alarm. So if this 90-second period has passed and the BNWAS has not been reset, that means the backup officer and master have also failed to reset the alarm. Then the system sounds a third stage remote audible alarm. This third stage remote audible alarm, remote tells us that this is also not on the bridge. This is present at the locations where further crew members are present who are capable of taking corrective actions. Moving ahead now, beta. Now this alarm sequence is shown in a very simple way in this diagram also. The diagram shows that for the dormant period, the BNWAS equipment does not give any visual indication or alarm. The dormant period runs for a duration of 3 minutes to 12 minutes as set by the master. After the dormant period is over, we have a visual indication on the bridge. This visual indication runs for 15 seconds or 0.25 minutes. If this visual indication is not reset, then after 0.25 minutes, the first stage bridge audible alarm also gets activated. The first stage bridge audible alarm also runs for another 15 seconds, or you can say total 30 seconds have passed up to here, that is half a minute. If the visual indication and the first stage bridge audible alarm have not been reset even after 30 seconds, then the BNWAS actuates or starts off a second stage remote audible alarm. So 30 seconds after the end of the dormant period, the second stage remote audible alarm is activated. This will be in master and or backup officer's cabin. After this period, total 90 seconds are provided. So after these 90 seconds pass, that means total 2 minutes time have passed after the completion of the dormant period. During this 90 seconds, if the master or backup officer does not come or reset the alarm on the bridge, the BNWAS now starts off or actuates a third stage remote alarm, which is present at the location where further crew members are present. And all these alarms, they keep on ringing till the time somebody comes on the bridge and resets the alarm. Important thing to note is that even though the alarms may be ringing in the master's cabin, backup officer cabin, or where further crew members are present, but the reset of the BNWAS equipment can be done only from the bridge, from a location where proper lookout can be maintained. Clear up to here, beta?
Yes, sir.
Very good, beta. Great. Moving ahead. Now, moving further, the standards say that in vessels other than passenger vessels, the second or third stage remote audible alarms may sound in all the mentioned locations at the same time. If the second stage audible alarm is sounded in this way, the third stage alarm may be omitted. If the second stage alarm sounds in all the locations, backup officer, master, and alleyways, public places, all these places, then the relevance of the third stage alarm is not there. So the third stage alarm will be omitted. Then the next standard says in larger vessels, the delay between the second and third stage alarms may be set to a longer value on installation, up to a maximum of 3 minutes, to allow sufficient times for the backup officer or the master to reach the bridge. Now, in larger vessels, it may be possible that the master or a backup officer may have to climb up 2 or 3 staircases to reach up to the bridge, and it may take more time than 90 seconds. So at the time of installation, this relaxation is given that this can be increased up to a period of 3 minutes to give them sufficient time to reach the bridge. Then coming to the reset function, it should not be possible to initiate the reset function or cancel any audible alarm from any device, equipment or system not physically located in areas of the bridge providing proper lookout. The basic philosophy or the purpose behind Bridge Navigational Watch Alarm System BNWAS is that whosoever is resetting the system or resetting the alarms and indication should be in a place where he can keep proper lookout. He can appreciate if there is any navigational danger or not. So that's why the reset is only allowed when a person comes to the bridge. It cannot be reset from a cabin or from an alleyway or from any other place. It can be reset only from a place where proper lookout can be kept, and the person is aware of what is happening on the bridge when he is resetting the alarm. Moving ahead now, beta. Now moving further on the standards, the reset function should by a single operator action cancel the visual indication and all the audible alarms and initiate a further dormant period. If the reset function is activated before the end of the dormant period, the period should be reinitiated to run for its full duration from the time of the reset. This is simple and self-explanatory. To initiate the reset function, an input representing a single operator action by the OOW is required. This input may be generated by reset devices, forming an integral part of the BNWAS, or by external inputs from other equipment capable of registering physical activity and the mental alertness of the OOW. Now, in the older ships, the BNWAS equipment could only be reset from the reset buttons, which were provided by the equipment maker itself. But later on, it has also been introduced that the BNWAS can be reset from other equipment which the duty officer is using. Those equipments are connected with the BNWAS reset function, and once the duty officer OOW uses any of these equipments like GPS, ECDIS, radar, autopilot, which registers his physical activity and which certifies or which proves that he is mentally alert and doing his watchkeeping duties, it is also able to reset the BNWAS equipment and reinitiate the dormant period. A continuous activation of any reset device should not prolong the dormant period or cause a suppression of the sequence of indication and alarms. Now, it is possible that a temporary arrangement may be made with which a button is continuously pressed. You can keep something on the button which keeps the button pressed, put a sellotape on top so that the button remains pressed all the time. Now, if such a thing is done and a continuous activation of a reset device is activated, it will not prolong the dormant period or it will not cause a suppression of the sequence of indication and alarms. This is factored in the software. A continuous activation is not going to reset the system. Moving ahead now, beta. Now, moving further, we have the standard for emergency call facility. It says means may be provided on the bridge to immediately activate the second and subsequently the third stage remote audible alarm by means of an emergency call push button or a similar arrangement. So this is basically a emergency call kind of facility which may be provided in the BNWAS equipment. We can see from the language of the standard that this is not a mandatory addition requirement for the BNWAS. It is left to the discretion of the ship owner or the classification society. If they think it fit, they may provide a emergency call facility along with the BNWAS also. The next standard is about the accuracy of the alarms and warnings. The alarm system should be capable of achieving the timings stated in section 4.1.2, which was the sequence of indication and alarms, with an accuracy of 5% or 5 seconds, whichever is less, under all environmental conditions. So the only thing which is being measured in a BNWAS equipment is the time duration. So the accuracy should be 5% or 5 seconds, whichever is lesser. Next is the security measures provided in the BNWAS. The means of selecting the operational mode, that is automatic, manual on or manual off, and the duration of the dormant period should be security protected so that access to these controls is restricted to the master only. So only the master is authorized to operate the duration of the dormant period and the operational mode of the equipment. Now there could be a physical key kind of protection, or there could be a password kind of protection where a PIN is to be entered, and this key or password should always remain with the master. Moving ahead now. The next standards provide information about the malfunction of the equipment. If a malfunction of or a power supply failure to the BNWAS is detected, this should be indicated on the equipment. Means shall be provided to allow the repeat of this indication on a central alarm panel if fitted. The basic purpose of this alarm is that if the power supply to BNWAS is interrupted, there is no power supply, it should not happen that the equipment becomes dead. The equipment should indicate that the power supply is not available. And also, it should not happen that once this alarm is reset, the equipment should remain silent after that. the equipment should allow the repeat of this indication on a central alarm panel, so that time and again it keeps on reminding the duty officer that the power supply to the BNWAS is not there, or there is a malfunction of the equipment. Next is the ergonomic criteria about the operational controls. The BNWAS should have a protected means of selecting the operational mode of the BNWAS. Protected means either a key protection or a password protection. Next, a protected means of selecting the duration of the dormant period. Again, as we discussed earlier, it should have a physical key protection or a password protection. The dormant period also should remain under the control of the master. There should be a means of activating the emergency call function if this facility is incorporated within the BNWAS. Moving ahead now.
Sir, the emergency call facilities means call someone in case of emergency.
Beta, it's like an emergency call button. It is not a mandatory provision in the BNWAS, but many of the makers, many of the manufacturers, they provide the emergency call facility. So if you press this button, it will go to the master's cabin and the master should come.
Okay, sir. Got it.
Okay. Moving further about the standard of reset facilities. Means of activating the reset function should only be available in positions on the bridge giving proper lookout. As we discussed earlier, a reset should only be possible from a location where proper lookout can be kept, and preferably adjacent to the visual indications. Means of activating the reset function should be easily accessible from the coning position, the workstation for navigating and maneuvering, the workstation for monitoring, as well as the bridge wings. The idea behind this is that wherever the duty officer is, it should be easy for him to reset the indications in the BNWAS equipment. Next, coming to the presentation of information, the operational mode of the equipment should moving incorporated. So these visual indicators, the color should be selected in such a way that it does not interfere with the night vision of the watchkeeper, and it should also be provided with a dimmer, but the dimmer should not dim it to extinction, because if the dimmer takes it to zero dimming or the zero level, then you will not be able to see the visual indication at all, and you will straight away get the audible alarm. Visual indication will not be visible at all. So the dimming facilities should not take the light to extinction. Moving next to the standards related to the audible alarms. The first stage audible alarm, which sounds on the bridge at the end of the visual indication period, should have its own characteristic tone or modulation intended to alert but not to startle the OOW. This basically means that the tone, the volume of the alarm should be such that it alerts the duty officer, makes him aware of the situation, but it should not be so loud or so sharp that it takes the duty officer by surprise. This alarm should be audible from all the operational positions on the bridge where the OW may reasonably be expected to be stationed. This function may be engineered using one or more sounding devices. The tone or the modulation characteristics and volume levels should be selectable during the commissioning of the system. So there is a little bit of control, a choice, a option available to the technician who is setting up the equipment at the time of making up or building of the ship. But once the equipment has been set up, then these settings are not available to us for day-to-day use. Next, moving on to the second and third stage, remote audible alarms. The remote audible alarm, which sounds in the location of the master, location of the backup officer, and further crew members, which are capable of taking the corrective action at the end of the bridge audible alarm period. It should be easily identifiable by its sound, and it should indicate urgency. The tone used should indicate urgency. It should not be something like a soft music, which does not indicate any urgency or does not alert the listener. The volume of this alarm should be sufficient for it to be heard throughout the locations and to wake sleeping persons up. So it should be loud enough so that if there is a person who is sleeping in that area, he should wake up with the sound of the alarm. The next standard talks about the system physical integrity. All items of the equipment forming part of the BNWAS should be tamper-proof so that no member of the crew may interfere with the system's operation. So these standards basically tell the makers to make a tamper-proof kind of equipment so that nobody can tinker around with the operation of the equipment and can use it to his convenience. Next is the reset devices. The reset devices should be designed and installed so as to minimize the possibility of their operation by any means other than activation by the OOW. The reset devices should all be of a uniform design and should be illuminated for identification at night. So this standard basically guides the makers that the reset devices should be made or designed in such a way that nobody is able to tamper with the reset devices, or they are not able to reset using an alternate means. It should only be able to reset with the intended purpose of the BNWAS, that is reset by a watchkeeper. Alternative reset arrangements may be incorporated to initiate the reset function from other equipment on the bridge capable of registering operator actions in positions giving proper lookout. So as we discussed earlier, other equipments may be connected to the BNWAS, and when the OW operates the other equipment, the BNWAS may be reset and the dormant period may be reinitiated. Moving on to the power supply. The BNWAS should be powered from the ship's main power supply. The malfunction indication and all elements of the emergency call facility, if incorporated, should be powered from a battery maintained supply. The idea behind this is if the main power supply is not available, the malfunction indication and the emergency call facility should still be working so that the duty officer knows that the equipment is off and is not working, and he has the capability for using the emergency call facility. So with this, we complete the performance standards for the BNWAS equipment, and this brings us to the end of the presentation.
Sir, there is anything like that.
Beta, you can select any time period between 3 and 12 minutes. You want to select 4 minutes, you can do that. 6, 8, 10, up to 12 you can go. You cannot go less than 3 and more than 12.
Okay, so there is no requirement like this much of time should maintain this time.
नो बेटा,
Because
उन्होंने आपको चॉइस दे दी है कि आपको जो भी डोरमेंट पीरियड ठीक लगे बिटवीन 3 and 12 minutes, the master can choose it.
because in our maker it was a system like 3 minutes option was there in 12 minutes. So you can select after 3 or 12 in between. Like,
In between values should also be there, beta. Somebody wants to select 6 minutes, he should be able to do that.
okay sir, maybe then I forgot.
हाँ, एक बार दोबारा उसको चेक करना.
Okay, sir, I have one doubt actually.
Go ahead, beta.
Okay, you go first, right? Prabhat, you continue first. I'll ask him later.
Prabhat, beta, any more doubt?
No sir, thank you sir.
Okay, go ahead, Akhil.
Okay, sir. Actually, I have one doubt, which is I don't know it's related to the topic or something. In last slide, which we have seen that they are saying this. Can you open the last slide, please? Sir?
Okay, just give me a minute. I'll open it up.
It was related to this power supply.
Here it is, beta.
Okay, sir. The last one is they are saying that it should be powered from the ship's main power supply. The malfunction indicates all elements of the emergency call facility. If incorporated, should be powered from a battery maintained supply. But now, as here they are saying, it should be from the ship's main supply. In case of the blackout, it will not be working, obviously. But they are saying the emergency call facility should be there. So they have to give some supply corresponding to it. But in BIQ, what they are saying, it should be
minimum performance standards. So IMO has laid them as minimum standards. आप इनसे नीचे नहीं जा सकते हैं. But any administration, कोई भी administration अगर चाहे, they can go over and above these standards. And like you have the VIQ and the vetting requirements for tankers, chemical gas carriers. So ऐसे केस में बेटा उनकी requirements can be over and above what are there in IMO minimum standards. So अगर उनकी requirement है तो they cannot hold your ship. They cannot say कि भाई आपने ये fulfill नहीं की तो we will stop it. They can only stop the business. Okay.
Yeah, it's only for the commercial purpose, not for the safety of ours.
That's correct, beta. So they can lay down guidelines which are over and above the IMO standards, very well within their rights. Sometimes administrations also go over and above the minimum requirement. Like say for example, जो हमारी Indian administration है, there is a requirement of 2 EPIRBs. Okay. SOLAS में there is a requirement of only 1 EPIRB on a ship, but Indian administration says no, we require minimum 2 EPIRBs. So they can go over and above. Another example which I'll give you, there is no requirement of sextant anywhere. So many of the administrations, they do not bother about the sextant, but Indian administration says that there has to be a sextant on board. So they can go over and above.
Sir, I have one example, sir. On Maersk ships, if you move the radar trackball, it used to deactivate the alarm.
Okay, all right.
It's almost now, sir, in the new ships, it's everywhere. Not only ACDIS, you have radars also. Whatever we are doing the operational part, even if they're touching the air trackball, it gets reset. But not behind the curtain one. Sometimes now they have 2 ACDISes, one in the front conning part, and one is the behind the curtains. That will not be. It will not reset.
Right, because the requirement says that the reset should only be in an area where proper lookout can be kept.
Yes.
Yeah, that's correct. So great बेटा, सो तो नहीं गए सुनते सुनते?
सर ये
नहीं
मैक्सिमम
सर,
12
at least
मिनट्स
these
किसने
things are.
डिसाइड किया और क्या लॉजिक?
Ask again बेटा, what doubt you are asking?
दिस 12 मिनट्स मैक्सिमम डोरमेंट पीरियड इस कैलकुलेशन के बेसिस पे है कि 12 मिनट्स ही मैक्सिमम होना चाहिए, तो लॉजिक है कि जस्ट ऐसे ही बना दी?
अब बेटा मैंने कहीं ऐसा कोई लॉजिक देखा तो नहीं है, बट सिंस यू हैव पॉइंटेड आउट, लेट मी सी, दिस इज अ इंटरेस्टिंग पॉइंट कि भाई ये 12 मिनट क्यों रोक दिया उन्होंने. ओके, सो लेट मी लुक फॉर इट. अगर मुझे कुछ मिलेगा आई विल श्योरली पास इट ऑन टू यू.
Even
एनीबॉडी
the
हैज
engineer's
एनी
dead
आइडिया
metal,
बेटा?
even the
12 मिनट.
engineer's dead man alarm is also 12 minutes only. So maybe it's an interesting question.
So what is the secret behind that 12 minutes?
सर मजा आ रहा होगा नंबर सुन के, 13 पे जा नहीं सकते इसको.
Okay, okay.
Sir, can you please share those gyro videos in the group?
I'll do that बेटा. मैं अभी क्लास के बाद आपके साथ वो शेयर कर देता हूँ. So great beta. So we finish off with the BNWAS and we finish off with today's session also. So we break off for today and I'll see you tomorrow. We'll continue with gyro.
Okay sir.
Okay beta. Great. See you then. Bye bye.
Thank you, sir.
See you,
Bye-bye.
sir. Bye.
Thanks. Bye bye.
Thank you.